Audacious co-creators. How are you doing? Hello, Roy.
Hi, Lilou. Nice
Welcome
to be
in
here.
Paris.
Yes, thank you.
Amazing that you're here.
Yes, it's been on my bucket list for a long time too.
I know we're going to have a great time, and there's so many topics we're going to speak about today. Of course, including, I was going to say, a quantum entanglement and jump into timelines, our best timelines. We're going to speak about success, health, and so much more. I'm very excited. You're a doctor. You're a holistic doctor. You've been practicing for many years, all this stuff, and you had many successful results
I've
for
been
many
around
years.
the world.
You live in Holland?
Lived in Holland.
And in many other places?
Many other places, yeah. I've been guided, so I'm following the path. It's not, I always say it's not me deciding. There's another force that brings the synchronicity, and then you just need to listen to your heart and say yes or no.
Yes. Yeah. But it's a hard work too, and we're going to speak about the law, the universal laws, and the path of least resistance that you love. But there is also work involved, of course, to arrive to this place in your life. But first of all, I barely recognized you from those pictures. You know, you've lost so much weight. Is this part of your technique that you've applied to losing weight, or what?
No, what happened was I met this woman who I'm married to with now, and she had a daughter, Grace, and her name is Joy. And one day, Grace, she was 2.5, she pointed at my belly and asked me if I was pregnant, if there was a baby in my belly. And you know, the moment the emperor realizes he's naked, because in my vision, I had a six-pack, but
yeah.
And then I said, because I was just starting to study quantum, I said, yes, I want to lose weight, but not by force, not by diet, and so on. And then what happens is, by synchronicity, we got in touch with this hypnotist who was doing hypnosis to install a virtual gastric band. So normally a gastric band, you go to a surgeon and they tie up your stomach, become smaller. And after a session, it was I think 40 minutes, I knew consciously I had no surgery, but my subconscious mind reacted as if I had a surgery. So I couldn't eat as much anymore. And also in the hypnosis, a lot of things change, because when you travel so much, you become lazy. You know, I become really lazy where, you know, I was just going all over the world and not really paying attention to myself. And one of the first rules, I believe, in spirituality is you need to take care of yourself. Yeah. And often we're giving, we forget about ourselves. So that was a moment of realization, and also believing in the quantum laws that state that everything needs to be effortless. And that's a hard law to follow.
Yeah.
So I never dieted, but we created this program where you become a conscious eater.
Yeah.
So you become aware, you eat consciously, and then naturally your body just changes. You need to change your subconscious beliefs about.
And you become visible. How about that? Because that's how it feels when I see you. It feels like a new you is born.
Well, literally, you shift your identity. Because number one, you become more aware, and that's the most powerful thing. When you give to yourself, your energy goes up. In quantum, we speak about frequencies. The frequency of self-love is one that makes you more visible. Actually, it is when you make yourself small, or when you make yourself just aligned, it's a big difference,
Yeah. Are we that afraid to shine? Are we that afraid to be our divine self? Are we that afraid to show up?
Well, it's part of the game, right? The game is that we are born in this body, and we forget who we are. So this is the number one rule in the game. You get amnesia. You don't remember who you are. And then you are first a sponge for the environment. You learn from the environment, you learn from your parents, from your teachers. And here's the big thing, is the moment you're born, you have the potential of a genius. Many geniuses are in you. But the more you are absorbing the information of the environment, the smaller you become. And one of the false conceptions we actually develop, I call it a program, is the program of, who am I? So you start believing what you are based on the environment. And we all struggle with self-worth. That's number one thing. Number two, we are programmed to be loved by others. So we adapt in order to be loved.
Yeah.
So we give up part of our, I would say, authenticity in order to be accepted, to be loved, to, that's what we want. And as a child, that's a great program. But as we grow up, it doesn't work anymore. So we are no longer the authentic self. And in many cases, we try to hide ourselves.
Yeah.
So when
because many times in our childhood, it feels like we're full of light and love, and all of a sudden the society is showing us, no, shrink your wings, you better not show that light because it's disturbing to others. And I think a lot of us on this journey are connecting back to that essence, and it feels so good.
And what happens is that we quickly feel the shame or guilty.
Yeah.
And when we look at the frequencies of the emotions, shame and guilt are the lowest. Right, so we try not to be in anybody's face, and the opposite also happens. So the bullies, for example, discover if I'm tough and strong, I get what I want. So we create this society where some are really looking strong. So with two ways to be small, to really adapt being small, or to blow yourself up, puff yourself up, and say I'm super. And so we need to find in the middle, who are we and what are we?
Because what are the consequences of that when we're not our authentic self?
Well, you see, the point is, I'm in holistic medicine for 45 years, and what is a rule is that when we live in conflict, any type of conflict, when we live in conflict, we get the energy in certain parts of our body doesn't flow anymore as it should flow.
Like the chi is not flowing.
Right. So I'm an acupuncturist as well. So we have these meridians, these energy channels around the body. So every conflict or every emotion, when we do not transform it, will stagnate certain parts of the energy flow. And in certain areas, then the immune system can no longer operate. So let's take a woman who has a cancer in the left breast. Why not the right breast? So what we know is the left side is the feminine side. So when it's on the left side, there's always a conflict on the feminine side. It's about the person is a woman, the woman in a relationship, the relationship with mother, the relationship with daughter. So it's the feminine part that will express itself on the left side. Even in men. So for example, I had my left knee is a problem. And what the reason is that I'm going too much on willpower. So my feminine side is underdeveloped. So this is a story. So the question is, what do I do? So I need to become softer towards myself. Having done martial arts for over 60 years, you go.
This is a black belt, thank you.
You go. So you enforce. And so when you force yourself, you actually go into the yang side, the male side. So my conflict is also the feminine side. But I need to have more feminine energy in me to have the balance. So everything in the body, even the location, will tell you about the conflict that the person is going through.
Let's talk of two people that are well known by everyone. Tony Robbins, Oprah Winfrey. How would you say these two fit in what you just said?
Okay, so Tony Robbins...
Just quickly, before we get into quantum entanglement, because that gets juicy.
Right. With all respect, he is a man over in young. Too much force. When I saw him the first time was in 1989. I did the first firewalk with him. And I saw him and I knew that if he continued like this, he will get a burnout. He will totally destroy his body. And he did. So he cannot even teach for a full day anymore. Right? He's pure force. And the downside to that is you suppress the emotions. So you can predict that someone like that, late in life, will get a series of problems. Not to me to tell you about Tony's problems that I can predict, but that's one thing. If you look at Oprah, Oprah is another, let's say, extreme. She went to extreme traumas in her childhood, and she found a way to heal those traumas by talking about it and talking about it with other people. So when you see Oprah, every session she was doing in the past was a healing also for her. So by having specific guests, she was constantly healing herself. And that is based also for success, being open, vulnerable, authentic. And for example, Tony is not open, vulnerable, and authentic. Tony is the force. So it's a good way to see the yang energy of the male energy being abused, and the other side is the female energy that's more caring, more receiving. So it's a prime example.
And what we can do with those abuses or those past traumas, or how they can shape our life, but also how we can liberate them on this journey little by little. I mean, what I'm fascinated by your work is that it's quick, it's fast, and these traumas can be liberated quickly. And I feel these days we don't have time anymore for therapies that last 20 years. You know? So I love the quantum thing, because I'm like, let's do it. I mean, bring it on.
Yeah. But the truth is that when we look at the system, because we have a system, the system has different layers. Medicine is part of the system, a system that is created by certain intelligent beings, in this case human beings, who have a specific intention.
Yeah.
It's a system set up. Medicine is not to heal. Medicine is a business, with all respect, where the pharmaceutical industries are having clients. So it's the pharmaceutical industries who take the universities hostage, and that way they put their will on the doctors. The doctors are hypnotized in what is the right way of doing medicine.
Yeah.
So I'm on the other side because I'm doing the wrong type of medicine. I truly heal people, and many with me. I'm not the only one, but so that's why we are charlatans. That's why we are not accepted by the other side, because we're going against the system.
Yeah.
And for myself, being born with hyperactivity, autism, and all kinds of other
and
labels.
Difficulties to learn, no?
Yeah, difficulties to learn. All these labels were put upon me. But one of the things that I have, a lot of people say you need to have patience. I tried for over 20 years to get patience. I don't have patience still. I can relax, I've learned to relax because I don't want to be stressed. But when I work with someone, I want to go as fast as possible, as deep as possible, and get results right away.
You're on a mission.
Right, I'm on a mission. And I've taught many, many doctors and therapists in my own systems. And one part of that is that anything that's mental, emotional can be solved quickly. If you have something physical, you first need to solve the mental, emotional. Then the energy starts flowing, and the body gets back into self-healing. So the body
knows what to do.
The body knows what to do. And then we have another mechanism that most people do not know, is our superpower. Our superpower is our mind.
That's getting juicy.
Right, is our mind. So if you break a bone, the body will heal the bone in 3 to 4 weeks. But if you use your mind, you can heal the same bone in 5 days or less. So most people do not know how to use the mind. Even a lot of therapists, they give people herbs, supplements, whatever, acupuncture, but they forget about the mind. So if you learn how to reprogram the mind, and I was inspired by yogis, that yogis could do things to their bodies that seem impossible.
Wim Hof, that is
Wim
Dutch
Hof
too.
He's a Dutch yoga teacher.
On the snow, standing there.
So, and what he does with his mind, he says, cold is exciting. I love cold. That switch.
It's good for me.
Changed how the body responds to cold. And that's a superpower, right? So I met another woman, Yasmin, and she says, we do not need food or we do not need drinking. Now, once the mind accepts that, you go into a higher frequency of divine love, and then the divine love feeds the body. So the secret to success is the mind, right? And then the next secret after that is when we start using the invisible powers. Like what I've learned from Yasmin is that we live in an ocean of prana that we're not using. So at Qigong, when we start absorbing the energy and bringing that into our body, consciously, we shift everything in our body.
Yeah.
So our mind is the tool that we need to train for healing, for happiness, for success, and everything. And then When you add other things I've learned, like quantum, then you go
so
into
so there are steps, or we can directly experience quantum, and we'll go into quantum to really define it too, quantum entanglement, because you have quantum everything.
Quantum.
I mean, you live quantumly, so everything is quantum. So you're going to hear that word a lot, okay? Let me warn you. But there's a good reason for that.
Right.
But is there steps before getting into quantum? You're saying heal your mind first, or do the mental work, or is it really the path of least resistance, so there is really any way in?
Well, the first thing we need to define what is quantum. Okay, so quantum would be the science of energy. So if we look at the world, we have two different complementary and to some look opposite science. We have the Newtonian science. So for example, the law of gravity is a Newtonian science, and so that's very well documented. In the Newtonian science, for example, we cannot create free energy. It's impossible. Perpetuum mobile is impossible. Nikola Tesla already did, but that's a different story. But if we go into quantum, when we study the laws of quantum, we will see that everything in the three-dimensional reality has a blueprint in the energy world, what we call the fourth and the fifth dimension. And there is frequencies determine the materialization process in the three-dimensional reality. So instead of using willpower to create something or to manifest something, because when we use willpower, we see this in the world, because the world is based on willpower, we use a lot of life force. So chance of burnout, of sacrifice, your relationship, your health, for your goal is in the Newtonian laws the normal way.
Yeah,
you pay a price.
You pay a price, and the satisfaction, the profound, deep satisfaction, lasting satisfaction is not there when we force things.
Yeah, because we come from scarcity.
Yeah.
When we create in scarcity, we will be in the frequency of scarcity. So people who create a lot of money from a scarcity mindset will always have a scarcity mindset. They will never have enough. They need more, 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 more. So the other side, when you go to the laws of energies, it is that we become a channel, we become the conduit in the energy. So we need to create, we need to step into the future. So to understand that, we need to understand the most complex part of quantum, is that we live on a linear time, which is three-dimensional. So we have a beginning, a now, and a future. This is what most people know. But what people do not know, that at the same time, we have parallel timelines. And this is a strange phenomena, and you see this in a lot of movies right now. A lot of movies coming out about quantum. And one of the things that you often see is that jumping from one timeline to the other.
Well, I'm remembering now the 2004, What the Bleep Do We Know? There was a movie already on quantum. That's where I discovered Dr. Joe Dispenza, and then went on to interview him and doing many things with him. Absolutely. But it's true that now our mind seems more than ever open to that. Absolutely. And we're feeling that that's where the juice is, you know?
Yeah, and that's another thing, is that our mind is not open just by coincidence. It's because we entered into a special space in the space-time where we are bombarded with certain cosmic rays. And right now our pineal gland is opening more and more, and the pineal gland is a sender-receiver into the quantum field. So we have no choice. We are shifting now, and everybody is going into that. Now there are two ways, is that you are so blocked and so afraid that you want to stay in the Newtonian laws. Because that's what you believe, that's what we can measure, that's what we can see. The quantum laws are now being proven. Well, quantum have been there forever, but now science is talking about, hey, quantum entanglement, about how two, let's say, molecules instantly, regarding to time and distance, are reacting the same way. So when we go back to the parallel timelines, what does this really mean? It means that every choice that we make that changes our future is another timeline. But the old path still exists. In other words, in this life, I have divorced my first wife, but in a parallel timeline, we went, for example, to a relationship coach. And we learned how to communicate with each other. And in that timeline, we still have a relationship. So every choice we make creates automatically another timeline. The other thing we need to know
That's a lot to handle for one being.
Absolutely. No, but it's not, well, we are infinite beings, but we live infinite amount of time at the same time. Now comes the most important part to understand. Every desire that we have in our hearts already exists in another timeline. So the whole technique of quantum timeline jumping is to connect to the timeline where you are already living your heart's desire or your dreams, or whatever desire you have.
Whether you're clear or not about your desires.
Well,
and
if
dreams.
you're not clear about your desires and dreams, then you are governed by your soul and your subconscious mind.
It sounds like soul is not a good thing.
No. Let's go back. You see, the subconscious mind is the part of us where everything is recorded. So if we hypnotize a person, we bring them back to the third birthday, they still have a full memory of the third birthday. That's the subconscious mind. Now, in the subconscious mind, what is the most important things are the painful events or the events that are conflicts. Those create, in the time-space continuum, they're locked into time. So if you had a trauma as a child, it is a trauma that is in memory in the fourth dimension, where the time is frozen. So that fourth dimension is our soul. So most people are confused about soul and spirit. So we have spirit. Spirit is a divine energy essence that we are. It is uncorrupted. It's pure love. It is pure creator. It's living outside of time. Then we have the soul. The soul are the memories, some people call this karma, of every traumatic event we have experienced and all the choices we made coming from abusing from our ego, right? Or suffering.
So there's no divine spark in soul?
No, the soul is the protective layer of the divine spark.
Got it.
But the life force of everything comes from divine spark.
Got it.
So we have the soul, and what the soul really wants. A lot of people talk about, oh, what's my soul mission? What I'm here for? The soul has only one mission. And the mission of the soul is to heal itself. So what the soul does, it creates situations for us over and over again, so we get a chance of healing. And that goes through all time. So that goes also through linear time, because our past lives are on the linear line, right? So the problems we didn't solve before with a person, back in the previous incarnation, are represented sometimes with the same person.
Now it's my mom, oh my God.
Again, right? Or my child, whatever. So our karmic relationships pop up back in our lives. And again, we get an opportunity to solve the problem. But it's much more complex than that, because whole civilizations reincarnate. If we look at America right now, America is a reincarnation of the Roman Empire. Okay? So, and we can even, I'm not going to say who
President... Where did that came from?
Right? No, I don't even want to say who President Trump is, but he was also in the Roman Empire. Okay? And you can look it up, you can find it. I'm sure if you look it up, you'll find it. But anyway, so even civilizations reincarnate. And now again, America is suffering from the same problems as the Roman Empire. Because the Roman Empire went under because of printing too much money. The same thing is happening right now. So we're reincarnating in cycles, in every way. And every time the soul again is seeking learning. So when we say we come to learn, it's the soul who comes to learn. The divine spark just has nothing to learn.
Right. But how about aliens? How about extraterrestrial beings, like coming on Earth under different identities or helping or wanting? Can we talk about that topic, or is it prescribed? I mean,
we can talk about everything.
Yeah, that's what I love about this conversation. These are my favorite interviews. There is no limit.
There is no limit.
I love it. No, but how about this? I hear sometimes that there is some... star seeds, some people from different galaxies, different realms of this universe to come and help and support what's going on right now. I mean, clearly, most of us feel the acceleration more than ever. It feels possible to evolve and do quantum jumps and heal ourselves quicker than before. And there seems to be those other people also that do they have a soul? I mean, what is their process and how come they're landing on our planet?
Right.
What do they want with our planet?
That's true. But it's very complex in the sense there are different levels to that. Number one, we're talking about souls, and there's something we call hybrid souls. A hybrid soul is a soul that's incarnate before in other civilizations and now is coming on Earth. Sometimes it's just part of the program because mostly all of us have different incarnation, different realms, different planets. Planet Earth is not the only planet to incarnate. So then we have, for example, some souls have been a long time in a certain civilizations. Some souls are just here out of curiosity. So I've met several ones that in their civilizations they did not know emotions or they didn't know free will. So they came here to experience emotions. They came here to experience ego. Ego is the instrument of duality. So some are here
Most of us are here to experience ego, no?
Yeah, duality is, well, we need to overcome duality.
Yeah.
Right? Duality is, or saying something is good or something is bad, which is not true, because we are infinite beings who choose to have an experience, and we've chosen to play all roles. We play the criminal, we play, let's say, the abuser, to abuse. We have to play all those roles because that's how we learn. We want to learn about ourselves. So the way I define it is we come to this planet to find out what we are not, right? And then we can value more what we are. So some souls come here out of curiosity. Then we see also the different waves of souls coming, that some souls come because they have a high frequency. They're just here because of the frequency, not so much of what they're doing. So they're part of the new world that is opening up right now.
That reminds me, and I'm cutting you, sorry, but it reminds me of Dolores Cannon, and I know you've studied her work, and I had the chance to interview her while she was still alive. And she did astonishing work with her spiritual hypnosis that she did, and getting information from those bodies that were in hypnosis and getting information from other galaxy, past lives.
Absolutely.
I mean, that is part of your inspiration too,
absolutely.
isn't it?
Actually, she's the first one. I mean, Deepak Chopra was talking about quantum as well. He had a workshop called Synchrodestiny. And that's about how to create synchronicity in your life. So how to become a magnet for attracting your dreams. So that was that, but he's not really using quantum the way, let's say, Joe Dispenza is using quantum or I'm using quantum. But Dolores Cannon was the first to hypnotize people and connect them to the divine spark. She was the first one to discover a way where we can directly channel the source of life that we have and all other beings in the whole universe. And that's where I learned the technique from her, but she was only focused on healing, and I was curious. I want to know everything. So I was hypnotizing my wife all the time, talking to all kinds of beings, and that's how I've learned most of the things I know about quantum right now, and about the complexity of quantum, the parallel timelines and all that. But here's the key. We have, the moment that we launched nuclear bombs in the Second World War, there was a ripple effect through the universe, and that's when a lot of extraterrestrials become very interested in this planet. There are over 80 different extraterrestrial types watching the planet because it's going to the phase of self-destruction. So right now, and we are now in the midst of the war, Russia-Ukraine, is that they are here to intervene in case of nuclear war would come, because they cannot allow that. Because if that happens, if the planet is destroyed, it will have a ripple effect to the universe. So we have around the world a lot of extraterrestrials. They're watching. I was in contact with Richard Greer, who can let you see. He would, we do a kind of meditation, and the UFOs will appear. And we know it was not a hallucination, because within 15 minutes, the Air Force will come to investigate. Because the moment these beings materialize from the fourth to the third dimension, you can see them on the radar. And when they change the vibration, they disappear. They're just playing cat and mouse with the people here. So we have those as well, observing. Some are experimenting. Some came here because they need DNA. Some are creating hybrid forms to live on other planets. There's a lot of things going on. And some are here to help. All of that's happening.
And most of that is not visible to our eyes. So much is happening, no?
No, it's not visible to our eyes. What got me with Dolores Cannon was that she was hypnotizing people who were abducted by other beings. And So we know that's possible. Also, she's shown that the extraterrestrials were on this planet before. They've always helped the humans, and actually all human beings, if you want to believe it or not, have some extraterrestrial DNA in us because we are an extraterrestrial experiment. Right? That's why the Darwin missing link was never explained. There is a true missing link, and that's intervention from the other side. Even the books like the Bible speak about a lot of things. In all civilizations, you find symbols and stories about aliens. So they've been here forever. That's one thing. But they're also here now. But also now we have souls that are hybrid souls. And some people say I'm from the Pleiades, from Sirius, Arcturus. It goes on and on and on. And now starseed become, fashionable, right? But we all are starseeds. Actually, we all are extraterrestrials, beings having a human experience. So it's kind of mix up what you want to do.
So getting more and more, for us to get more and more into this, our divine self, this divine spark of who we really came for, so that we can remove all this stuff to really live this great, amazing, 100%, because it's not choosing spirituality or material, it's not health or success, it's not, I love how you say you can have it all.
Yeah, absolutely. It's if we look at what's happening right now, it is the whole planet and the humanity is going through a transition to a new frequency. So we're entering in the planet entered a new space area where we're bombarded with these cosmic rays. And this is the time that the whole humanity is going to shift. And there are only two ways. One way would be either we go in elevated frequencies or we stay in lower frequencies.
Or we die.
Or we die, of course. But the two worlds need to separate. And then the new world will arise. And the new world will be totally the opposite of this world. And we will have new forms of education, new forms of medicine, new forms of living together, working together.
Dolores Cannon spoke about that. Planet Earth, planet love, planet fear.
Exactly.
Two planets, like nearly physically shifting,
Absolutely. And we also have now the technology that is going so fast. And the big fear now is, when is technology going to hit singularity point? So where the machines become smarter than humans, and our biggest fear is when the machines decide we are the problem, which we saw in the Matrix, what will happen then? We don't know. But what we do know is that it is time to wake up. It is now time to become conscious. It's now time to choose a side. Either you choose to serve the light, to become planet love, or you stay in the planet of fear, scarcity, and duality of the ego. And the awakening of humankind is just starting now, and it's accelerating. But if we look at the governments, we still have a lot of work to do, because they're still stuck in the fear planet. And when
but let's talk about us.
So true. So everybody's got the chance now to make a decision. Are you going to live in the illusion, for example, the illusion of your comfort zone? Are you living in the illusion that you came to this planet just to have a good life? Are you living in the illusion that you came to this planet to be successful, or be rich, or have all the stuff, the material stuff? Or are you waking up to discover that you're more than a human being, that you are I call it an astral being, a quantum being. So we have Homo sapiens and Quantum sapiens. And the Quantum sapiens is the realization that I am an infinite, eternal being having a human experience. And even when you realize that, it is still hard to separate the two. And so to really understand, you're not your body, you're not your emotions, you're not your thoughts, and you have to learn how to step out of that, to observe your human side that has been programmed without your permission, but with your intention, by the environment, and to really start saying, okay, this is what I want. I think many people remember the time we said, I don't want to be like my parents. And then we discover later we're doing exactly the same thing. That's our programming. So we need to understand we are not our programming. And then once we step out of that, now we can go back in and say, okay, what is for me the best version I can live on this planet? who am I when I'm the best version of myself? So we need to define the best version of ourselves first. The moment we have defined the best version of ourselves, we already know that version exists already on a parallel timeline.
But can we discover what the best version of ourselves is through those journeys, through those quantum jumps, like having hints of it? Because sometimes our imagination or, you know, tapping into that at first. I mean, I remember even now these days when I talk sometimes of people like creating intention at the beginning of the day, it's like, how do you do that? And I love how you say it, and I'm going to use that and say that. Like you say, you know, go to what you think when you're in bed at the end of the day and imagine how it will feel like. And this will help you to create intention.
Absolutely.
Well, most people don't live in life saying, hey, I'm going to think of when I die, what would I have accomplished and done, and what is my intention for this lifetime?
Absolutely.
Because that's huge, that's massive, but most of us
Absolutely.
don't resonate that way.
Absolutely.
So there is the whole mechanism. And so how do you tap into this higher version, most beautiful part of yourself, what most of your life you haven't learned to love fully yourself and receive and to live to this? Some of us can't even imagine what it can look like.
Right. Yeah, no, but the thing is that we need to start with the basics. The basics is not money. The basics would be happiness, joy, and peace. All right, so we all want to be happy. We all want to experience love. We all want to have peace. So that's the core. Anything we want in life, if the core is not aligned, it costs us. So if I want to manifest a lot of money, right now I want to manifest a lot of money because I want to create a society in the Amazon, I need to then define on which timeline, because there are many timelines where I've manifested the money to create a society. Do I create it from force and then go? Do I create it from my heart level? Do I involve my soul and my spirit? So we need to ask those questions, but the core is, who am I in that future? So that's where we start. So when we do start with the quantum jumping, we can jump in infinite times and space. No idea what's going to happen. There's a difference with the work I do with what Joe Dispenza is doing, that we first define what we call the coordinates of where we want to go. If infinite possibilities exist, I need a compass where they want to go. So I need to start to define myself first, okay? So I want to be happy, healthy. I want to do things that makes my heart dance with joy. And I want to wake up in the morning with a big smile on my face with the question, how can I be of service today? That's for me, right? And then what's around that, so I'm at the core of my creation. We always are the main actor in our movie, right? So we need to define the role. Now we need to define the environment. In what kind of environment do I want to live? What kind of luxuries do I want to have? What kind of people do I want to meet? But those are the details. Number one is that. Then another question I want to ask myself is, what kind of impact do I want to have on this planet? Now, if you do not know some of that, when you make a quantum jump, you know always the core. You only want to jump to timelines where you're happy, fulfilled, and living a good life.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
Right. So some people who do not know their mission yet, or do not know how the impact is going to be, have no choice to jump to different timelines. And now you can explore. Yes, on one timeline, maybe you're part of a movement. Another timeline, you experience you're living in a community and you're just there taking care of children. That's fine. So you get a lot of information from jumping to the timeline. So for me, when I start jumping, I notice a few things. So the first thing you always do is observe. So on one of my timelines where I said I'm having the best life, where I have the biggest impact, where I truly make a difference, where also I'm part of creating a new type of medicine, that the natural holistic medicine that I've learned for 45 years, that is becoming the dominant form of medicine. That's the timeline I was jumping to. And then I noticed a few things. Number one thing I noticed, that I had no hair, because I'm not bald by nature, I'm bald by shaver. So, and I didn't know why I had no hair. Okay, I said, if that's the requirement, I'll shave my hair. So that's one thing. So since then, I think 5 years ago, I started shaving my hair. Second thing I noticed, that I call it a Zen Master. Nothing or nobody can trigger me, which means I have healed all the wounds, the emotional wounds that I have, and I'm talking also through time. So basically I healed a big part of my soul. So I start now asking myself, how do I do that? And what I've learned from my future self, how he was doing it, in the morning he sets the intention how he wants to go to bed at the end of the day. How do I want to feel? When I look back in the evening, how do I wanted to experience it? I wanted to be in my power, I want to be happy, I want to make people smile, I want to inspire people. So that's the intention he set for the morning. And then in the evening, what happens, you look back and you look at, okay, when was I good? You give yourself compliments for that, you celebrate your successes. And the second thing you do is, when was I not in my power? Let's say someone triggered you, someone irritated you, whatever. So now you have the chance to revisit that moment in your fantasy, and now you edit the movie now from your power. Now you're going to relive it as if you're fully in your power. Now, why is this so important? The reason this is so important is how the brain works. The brain creates what we call neurosynaptic complexes in order for us to do things automatic. So if we walk, we talk, we eat, it's all automatic based on the synaptic complexes. So if we take, for example, a child who is at a swimming pool and sees everybody swimming, the child doesn't know it cannot swim. It is, oh, everybody can do it, I can do it. So it is at that moment is unconscious, incompetent. Now it jumps into the pool, and that moment the child becomes conscious, incompetent. And if it's lucky, it doesn't drown, right? But now the child is sent to swimming classes. And with practicing, we're developing more neurosynaptic complexes until swimming becomes easy. We don't have to think about it. And we can see this child maybe 5 years later playing water polo. At the time the child is playing water polo, it has created now in the brain all these connections that create the autopilot. And that's what Joe Dispenza says, well, you know, neurons that fire together, wire together. So in order for us to change our identity is a role we play. A role we play on automatic. And a lot of people believe this is who I am. Not true. So we can recreate that. So, but to do that, one of the most powerful techniques we have is called visualization. When we visualize, then we get what Joe Dispenza is saying. We're firing to neurons, and that's when we wire them together. And when we keep doing that, setting intention in the morning, we evaluate in the evening, we fire the neurons, we're creating a hologram in our brains for the new personality, the best version that we want to become. If we keep practicing that, we start breaking the old patterns, so the things that used to irritate us no longer have that effect on us. And we change gradually by changing the let's say, circuitry in the brains. And that's part also of the quantum teachings, is that every time you jump to that future where you see another version of yourself, you observe, then you ask for information. So I learned most of the things from the future, and then you imagine becoming one with your future self. And that's where you absorb what we call the frequencies, the connections, and when you come back, we integrate into the body. And over time now, we have changed not only our personality, but we all changed the frequencies in our body. And now we are on our way to become the happy, fulfilled person. Is having an impact.
We're already there. We already have that.
It's already everything is already there. Anything we can desire has to be already in the field, otherwise we cannot desire it. It's very interesting to see that how many artists work, that they get the information from the field. A lot of people write books, make movies, but they channeling, they channel it, and they get the information where it already is.
Yeah.
Everything is already created. We have to connect to where our dream is and bring this dream over and over back into our existence.
Yeah. I thought for the longest time that we had to do past life regressions, and in that moment we can get those lessons and those gifts back from those past life. So it would happen rather in past life, but past, present, future, they coexist, right, on
absolutely.
this other dimension. So
you see,
I love when you said, I'm jumping a little bit, but this is part also of the conversation, when you say in your seminar, like, okay, on the fourth dimension, all your desires and things are stuck there, and there is just cars and boats and houses that nobody is claiming, and you guys are, you know.
Yeah, the truth is, many people know
we're not doing it fully, you
right,
know, the whole way.
They order it, they create it, but they cannot receive it.
Yeah.
We cannot receive for several reasons. Number one is the false illusion of self-worth. So, and the second thing is that most people are accustomed to giving, and the reason we are givers is not because we're good, is because when we give, we expect that people like us. So we are actually hypocrites. In really, we give for you to like me, right? But it's hard to receive because of our concept of self-worth. So we have learned that we are not worthy. We have learned that we need to work hard to get something. My father, he was a prime example, and he programmed us, only through hard work you can be successful. But in quantum, that's not true. In quantum, the hardest work is to connect every day, to keep the frequencies, to basically spend time in that parallel timeline. That is the work we need to do. If every day we would spend time in our dream and bring that back, that would create more effect than chasing the dream.
Yeah. So what are the laws here? Because we heard of the law of attraction. You're speaking of the law of least resistance.
Right. So
and of resonance.
Right.
Can you explain that so that we can take the law of attraction a little further, a lot further?
Absolutely. So the first thing we need to know, the first law is...
it's not even a law, actually, the law of attraction.
No, there are principles of attraction. It is the law of resonance or the law of frequency. The law of frequency states, and Einstein already said that if you want to create something else than you have right now, you need to change your frequency. If you change your frequency, the quantum field has to realign itself around the frequencies. So the frequencies are the blueprint of the three-dimensional reality. So if in your life you're not happy, you're not satisfied, you've created this based on your frequencies. So you can chase whatever you want, success and so on, or you can change your frequencies. If you change your frequencies, it will come to you. So for example, now I'm working on creating these micro-societies all over the world. I just need to go to the parallel timeline where they exist, and now people start popping up. I have an architect who I met by coincidence. I have now a business partner who is into the financial world. I met by coincidence. So the coincidences start to accelerate when you change your frequencies. And we call it synchronicity. So you can live on linear time of willpower, which is chasing, hunting, going after, or you can live in synchronicity timeline where it comes to you. And that's a law of frequency. The second most important law that we need to understand is that in the universe, everything moves with the least expenditure of energy. You don't have an asteroid saying, no, I don't want to go this way, I'm going to go that way, right? It follows these laws. Just like on Earth, water goes always through the law of gravity. In the quantum fields, it's the same. So as a human being, we are an anomaly in quantum field because we have the free choice. When we have free choice, we can go against nature. That's what destroying the planet. We are not aligned with nature, which is big part four-dimensional creation. So the nature is now being overruled by the willpower of humankind. And because of our ego-driven society, our form of capitalism is cannibalistic. We will go for profit at all price. And that's what's destroying us. And we see that in the community as well. We see it everywhere. We see it in the corporate world. It's me, fighting, go up the corporate ladder. And that's a very ego-driven kind of world. And we need to move more to the world where everything is sustainable, where we live from the frequency, where we live on the frequency of love, kindness, authenticity, gratitude, and all those things. And we need to start with ourselves.
Unicity.
Yeah, of course. Because when we go into that frequency, we are bypassing the ego. The ego is a survival mechanism. It's nothing spiritual. The ego is where the brain is, especially the left brain, is giving meaning to the world. And the ego is a software program that is partially programmed by our parents and others. And the only thing the ego is deciding is safe or unsafe. If it's safe, it's okay. If it's unsafe, it stops us. So the moment we have a desire that the ego decides is unsafe for us, it will block us. And for example, let's take weight loss. We spoke about weight loss.
Yeah.
If we say, I'm going to go on a diet, for the ego that's unsafe, it will immediately start with sabotaging yourself.
Clearly.
So the ego is just there to keep us in the safe comfort zone.
That ego is not the only thing. I know your next book, I can say, is on shadow. Shadow work,
Yeah,
can I say that? It's
of course,
coming up soon. I mean, I guess next year or maybe.
Yeah.
And I didn't say this at the beginning, but you're a best-selling author. I mean, you wrote many books, and including this book. So the ego, but there is also this shadow or shadow in general that is also preventing us. I mean, or the shadow is using the ego to kind of go and preventing us from shining this light from.
Absolutely. But we have, so the shadow is kind of more complex. So we have let's say we have the ego, we have the heart, and we have the soul, and then we have the divine spirit. These are the 4 levels from which we create. So, but the soul wants healing. The soul is frozen in time. So, but in the soul, we also have memories of unsafety. So, for example, that some people become, let's say, they develop this extrasensory perception, they become channelers, whatever. They can connect to the quantum field and see things like people, like Nostradamus, one example. Nostradamus was not safe in order to speak about his visions. And so some people have lives where they were punished for being a psychic. They were punished for being an intuitive. They were punished for being different, whatever. So that memory is still there. So part of the soul actually is creating situations where we can heal it. So once we go to the unsafe zone, we find our power, we're healing our soul. So, but we are scared because of the memory. So a lot of phobias are not from this life. It's from another life. So when we heal the phobia, we're healing the soul. That's where past life regressions can help us to get insights into why something is happening. Why am I attracted? I call it, for example, fatal attraction to this person, and I know it's bad for me, but I'm still with this person. I cannot let go. Why is that? That is the soul, right? That's not the ego, that's the soul. So the ego doesn't feel safe in that environment, wants to run, but the soul is holding us back. So we have all these things going on at the same time. And the heart also, what happens with the heart is that every time we got rejected, we're building a wall around our heart. So over time, we close off our love more and more and more because we've been scarred, we suffered because of rejection. We did something and we felt rejected and we closed up parts of ourselves. So we are not experiencing the true love that we are anymore because we're closed in. So one of the things that we also do is we remove heart walls. And when we remove heart walls, then we notice that we are much more loved than we were before. And the ultimate goal is that we don't seek love outside, but we become aligned with the love that we are. When we align with the love that we are, it's easy for us to be loving, to be kind, and it's easy to deal with people who are not loving and kind.
Yeah, and love doesn't fear shadow. And love doesn't fear shadow.
No.
The divine spark in us doesn't fear the
No, it
outside
embraces
shadow.
the shadow.
Or the shadow within us. That's the
Right.
thing, because we have within and outside.
Exactly.
And it's in resonance, isn't
Absolutely. The ego says the shadow is bad. The ego is afraid of the darkness. And the thing that we do not know consciously is that the shadows and the darkness is always to serve the light.
Yeah.
It's always the contrast.
Yeah.
If we shine our light, which is our love, on the shadow, there is no shadow. If we accept that we are human beings and we have compassion for the mistakes that we all make in life as human beings, the decisions we took, all the stupidities we've done, we need to have compassion for ourselves.
Yeah.
We need to forgive ourselves. Forgiveness of self is even more important than forgiveness of others. Because others...
It's the most difficult, yeah.
Yeah, but others are just actors in our movie. I ask you to play this movie. I say, here's the script. Play the script. Now you play it. Now I'm going to blame you for playing the script. Actually, I should say thank you for keeping to the role. But you are a mirror for me. So you're playing a script where my wounds, where my soul, where my heart is triggered into reaction. I feel pain, I feel emotion, I feel suffering. Instead of blaming you, I need to do the work, and the work is to heal myself. So the purest form of self-love is to do self-healing. And self-healing is to remove all the layers around our heart until we can experience the love that we are. When we have that, nobody can take it away from me. I can say, now truly, nobody can take my light away from me.
Because big things happen to you. I mean, obviously, with all the work that you do, you receive some attacks as well. From
course.
the darker side. Though it's for evolution, I get that, but you do receive
Yeah, you see, on my path is I need to go through a lot of things in order to help people to understand. You see, holistic medicine, the way it's practiced, it's still not complete. When we don't take into account the fourth and the fifth dimension, we only are treating people on the third dimension. And the third dimension is not where the soul is. So a lot of doctors are treating the body, some doctors are treating the mind, somebody are treating the energy system. But truly holistic medicine means we need to treat on all levels. We need to understand what the soul is. We need to understand why we incarnate. We need to understand why do we come here. If you don't understand that, you cannot truly be a healer. Now, you can be a healer by being an instrument. So if I'm going to heal a person, I can become a channel for a higher intelligence. I don't need to know. I just need to hold the space. So it's a different form of healing. But to understand true healing, we need to understand the whole, I would say, the whole soul journey, why we're here and what we're doing.
And the attacks, what do they look like when they get to you?
Well,
what could they look like? Just in few words.
Right, okay.
We're getting at the end of this interview.
Yeah.
And I have tons of other questions.
Sure. Well, I understand. So the attacks are simple. So one thing is the fear, the feeling of something around you that you cannot touch. There's this negative energy, this vibration. You don't feel safe, but it's not in the three-dimensional realm. That's number one thing. Another form is that you do the work, but you're not going anywhere. You're like going against these invisible things. The other things is that you can get nightmares that of, I don't know, demonic energies, all those kind of things. There are many different forms, but the most important thing is that we feel unsafe in safe places. Normally we have places that are unsafe. We know, don't go there. But when we feel unsafe in our own environment, there's always other energies in there that are not in the third dimension.
There's much to speak about, but I want to end this with the prayers and all of these great things that you're putting out, and the app and all the different work that you propose, because we can't go into all of it at once. And there's modules online. And could you go into the different things that you do, and this prayer also that is going to happen for free for everyone? Kind of in few minutes, if you can.
I'm going to go as short as possible.
But no, it's because we're over an hour. I love this.
I understand that. Well, I'm working on different things. Right now I'm working on my legacy. So I created a program for self-healing called Omega Self-Healing Journey. Then I'm creating a product for cancer, where people can train their mind to cure from cancer. I'm creating a product for children called Sleep Learning. That's something I use in my own youth, where I can learn everything I need to know, all the information that actually is bogus, you can learn during your sleep. And one other thing is called Free Your Mind. Free Your Mind is to break through the limitations we have to become unlimited. So I've discovered over 112 limiting beliefs on love, success, and money. So we create a program for that. And then I'm now creating what's called a Quantum Awakening program. And the last one now is Quantum Prayers. And Quantum Prayers are a gift I want to give to the world for free. And they're very, very powerful. So for example, when we do the prayer of protection, 100% you're protecting against all dark forces. There's a prayer on forgiveness. When you do the prayer on forgiveness, you clean your heart from all the pain and suffering that you have. Then there's going to be one on self-love. So each prayer is something, it's not like in the church you go and pray. There'll be visuals with it, there'll be sounds, and I'll be talking directly to your soul. It's a hypnotic technique where when you listen to this, there's a transformation happening instantly. For example, the prayer of forgiveness, when you feel unsafe in a safe thing, you do it, you feel safe right away. And you can repeat that, especially people who are light workers nowadays. They need to be aware that there will be a lot of dark forces counteracting them, and they can use this prayer for protection. We also make special music with frequencies that are without talking, and we put this also on Spotify, and this is for people to use to change the frequencies. So for example, we have now massage therapists, while they're doing massage, they put on the music, and now they are in the field of high frequencies, while the client are in high frequencies. Hypnotists can use it, therapists can use it. So we're creating different things. A lot of things are for free, because that is giving back to the community. And I like the frequency things on Spotify because there's no language. Everybody can find it, and we will create more of that.
You'll have to translate this in French at some point, you know that.
So no, we're going to translate in French too, especially the prayers, because I think that's the most powerful way to give a lot of people a kind of opening to consciousness in a different way.
We'll put all these links as they go and as they're coming out under the video. So this
and thanks to you, we might soon publish some books here in French as well.
It's not a baby, I can tell you this. I'm very excited to have this material in French. We're ready.
Okay.
And we're creating an event for you here in Paris. After Joe, now we're having Dr. Roy Martina. This is the scoop. Thank you so much for this delicious time together, for our dinner last night, and for spending this moment coming all the way here to Paris for this interview.
It's been a dream for a long time to finally be able to do something in France, so I'm ready.
Then I'm part of that equation. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, delicious co-creators. Please share this video wildly. Check out the different links under this video, and in the French version, it'll be available in podcast. Maybe we'll put it in podcast as well in English. And you can find all the great news. I'm sorry if I don't do as many videos in English as before. I am living in France, dedicated to the French francophone all around the world too, but I promise I'm going to put out more content because I heard the messages. So thank you so much, and if you've enjoyed this interview, please comment and share wildly. Thank you so much. Love you. Big kisses. See you soon.
Bye.